As entrepreneurs, y'all, we build businesses to grow freedom and impact. The problem is as we're growing those businesses, as we're chasing that freedom and impact, we hit these pain lines. We hit these spots along the way that make business insanely hard. Sometimes you might even feel like giving up, right? Sometimes you feel trapped in that very business that you created to give you freedom. And so what we're going to be doing in this brand new podcast called the Entrepreneur Freedom Formula, hosted by myself, Trevor Truck, who will get to know each other more and more as we go. We're going to be exploring that journey as an entrepreneur to move into businesses that set us free, move into businesses that really are businesses that we love to own and run, and they don't run us. How do we make that happen? Well, I'm an eight-figure entrepreneur multiple times over, and we get a chance to explore this together through my own journey. I'm going to be walking you through my learnings, my trials, my tribulations, and my successes along the way as I grow Carrot and other companies as well. And you get to learn through my trials and also through other experts that we bring on together. All right, guys, so we're going to tease out my Entrepreneur Freedom Formula in this very first episode of the podcast Entrepreneur Freedom Formula. In this first episode, we're going to be kind of getting to know each other and also getting to know the format. So if there's any feedback, pop it in the comment box below in the YouTube deal. We want to hear your feedback on this because I want to make this podcast exactly what you want as an entrepreneur to grow. So this episode, to give you context, we used to do a podcast called Trevor Truck Talks over in our Carrot cast. And so we're actually yanking out the Trevor Truck Talks, which are where every night when I would drive home, I would just pick up my phone and record a podcast. We publish those every Thursday. And after hundreds of those episodes, we would get so many people coming to me and saying, dude, this episode or that episode hit me. So we said, you know what, we're going to pull those out and we're going to do these on video format, on YouTube, on Instagram, on the podcast still. So hopefully you guys enjoy this format. So if you are on the podcast listening to this and you want to really dig in on the video side, go to YouTube. Go to my YouTube channel. We'll link it up. It's actually my YouTube channel, Trevor Truck. That's Mauch. Go subscribe over there. If you're watching this on YouTube, we'll link up the podcast in the show notes. So go subscribe to the YouTube or the podcast, Entrepreneur Freedom Formula. So guys, let me kind of talk about a little bit about my journey. Now, these episodes are all going to be sub 30 minutes, very tactical. I'm going to be taking you on a journey, sharing what I'm learning as I'm growing Carrot. Today, Carrot is about 55, 60 employees. I can confidently say that early in my journey, that was never a dream of mine to have dozens of employees. But when we go all the way back to 2008, when I first became an entrepreneur, if we even go back even further, 2004, when I bought my first rental properties, I knew nothing about business. I had a dream. I was in the identity of what I call the dreamer phase. And over the course of 2008 through 2012, I ended up learning so much about myself as an entrepreneur. I ended up learning so much about what I liked, what I didn't like, what I was good at, what I wasn't good at, and what I really, really understood at that time. And it was starting to unfold as I joined masterminds, as I started to learn more and hire a couple people, is I knew nothing about entrepreneurship. I knew nothing about what it would take to actually grow a business from low six figures to in the eight figures. I knew nothing about the entrepreneurship or the leadership journey that I was going to be on during that process either. And so around 2012, after starting a company that did pretty good, right? We did $400,000 or $500,000 a year in my previous companies before Carrot. I've made some investments. A couple of them bombed. One of them is still doing amazingly well today, called Sales Message, salesmessage.com, an amazing software company. But with my business partner there, Chris Brisson, that's how I got my intro into software. And so around this time period, 2012, is when I kind of hit this crossroads. I hit this major crossroads as an entrepreneur. I had built this business that was making $300,000 to $500,000 a year. I was hitting what I now call and now know are called pain lines. And what will unfold those pain lines in the next several episodes of the Entrepreneur Freedom Formula. And in that time, I sat down at this coffee shop literally right across the street from where I'm sitting today. And I asked the question, I said, what type of business do I want to build? Because I feel like I'm trapped in this business, the very business that I thought was actually going to set me free. I'm actually trapped in it. I remember way too often I'd be waking up in the morning and not wanting to do the work in the exact business that I had started to set me free, right? My friends would be having conversations with me, or looking and go, man, Trevor's got it made. He has a business. He can choose where his time goes. He's making into the low six figures a year. He's got it made. And in all truth, I did have it made. I think the challenge was I didn't realize it, and I didn't see any end in sight. When you hit that spot, I call it the 3-year turn and burn cycle, which I'll tell you about what that is deeply in this episode, why it's so important to you. I hit that spot. I was about 3 years into that business. And the original vision that had propelled me to start that company, propelled me forward to be able to figure out how to make my first dollar, and then my first 100,000, then the first $500,000, and make some good profits as a 20-something-year-old kid. That vision, as soon as you get away from that back, the wall that your back is against, the income ceiling you don't like, or the job that you don't like, or people telling you that you're not capable of doing something, or you can't do something, that's the thing that motivates you early on, right? You're motivated from that force that's either telling you can't do something or you don't want to do that. You're running away from something into what is a brighter future. I call that the dreamer phase. And I'll talk about that in episode 2, the dreamer phase. But once that happens and you escape that motivation, you escape that problem, and you're making a couple $100,000 a year, now this new dynamic pops up. This new dynamic pops up where we hit this pain line at around $300,000 a year, where business gets hard again. We have to start to learn how to delegate. We have to start to learn how to actually do the work that we're best at and step into what I call your unique abilities. And when we don't know how to do that well, and we're feeling the pain of everything feeling like chaos, and it just feels like you're walking in mud, it feels like it's really, really hard, we start to get distracted, right? You hit that 3-year turn and burn cycle. 3 years into the business, you now have to, instead of looking back at that thing that motivated you and propelled you forward, we hit this pain line, we get distracted, right? We either settle and go, man, this is way harder than I thought. It was way easier when I was doing 100,000 a year. Or maybe you're at the $1 million pain line and you sit back and go, dude, business is way more fun when I was doing $500,000 a year. I'm just going to settle and go back there, right? Or you sabotage, as my coach Dan Martell says. You get into that spot and you see these opportunities coming your way, but you stop answering the emails, or you stop answering the phone calls, or you stop returning those phone calls, or stepping into those opportunities that you know are going to create more business for you. But you also know on the other side of that, subconsciously, that when you take that opportunity, when you make that call, it's going to mean more business, which equals more challenge and more pain, because you haven't figured out how to solve that pain line in the business yet. And in 2012, I was in that spot, sitting across the way, and I drew what I now call my entrepreneur freedom formula. And we're going to pop it up somewhere on the screen. Probably you can click a link below in the show notes to actually see it in more detail. But the entrepreneur freedom formula is really broken up between 3 things. I'm going to be bouncing back and forth looking at my iPad here if you're watching the video. But really, the entrepreneur freedom formula, the middle of the freedom formula for me, the reason that business exists for me, and hopefully for you too, is to create that freedom and impact like I talked about before. So when we ask the question, how do we build a business of freedom and impact? Like, what components are a part of that, right? For me, the big things are 3 things. It's purpose, okay? We have to have some level of purpose. Like, why the heck are we doing what we're doing? I know so many people who make a lot of money, but at the end of the day are miserable because they don't have the purpose, the why behind why they're going to work every day, right? The second part with the Entrepreneur Freedom Formula to build that business of freedom and impact is building a business of consistent profits. Okay, so that's number 2. So consistent profits, that means you have a strategy in place, a business strategy that can grow. You add leverage in that business. You have a good marketing machine, a good sales machine, a product that people want, and it generates consistent profits. So let's say you have some purpose, you know where you're going. You have a business model that's creating some consistency and profits. Now, the third part is once that happens, you're going to get busy now, right? You're seeing your revenue grow. You're growing through those revenue lines, those growth levels, like I call them. The 100,000, 300,000, a million, 3 million, 10 million, 30 million, 100 million plus. Okay, those are those growth levels. And I'm going to be introducing you to those growth levels in insane detail on episodes 2 and 3 that are setting the foundation for the entire Entrepreneur Freedom Formula podcast journey we're going to be going on. Okay, so those are the 3 things. Then the third thing, I forgot to dig into that. The third thing is energy and time. Okay, as we have the profits coming in, we're moving up that revenue level. Now we need to take some of that money and go, oh my gosh, it's not sustainable that I'm working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. It's great that I'm making money. It's great that things are growing, but man, I don't have any time to enjoy it anymore, right? I leave the crumbs for my family when I go home, and I say this is for my family, but my family is getting the crumbs of me, right? That's where we need to learn how to buy back our energy and time. We need to step into the things that give us energy in our work, and we need to buy back our time, okay? And we do that through a process I call the energy audit. You're going to learn about it through this podcast. Then we go through and figure out what is that right next hire, how do we create those playbooks, how do we delegate effectively, then we loop all the way back up. So if you're looking at this entrepreneur freedom formula and it's the 3 circles, if you're listening to this on the podcast, it's just basically a Venn diagram with 3 circles, right? And in the middle of that, when we're doing all these good, we have a business that sets us free and helps us create an impact. Okay. When we're not doing these good, then we're going to be hitting one of these spots that has a symptom of something we don't like. And I'm going to read out these symptoms. I want you to pick and choose, where are you right now? Where are you right now? Okay. The first symptom is if you don't have that full balance between purpose, consistent profits, and buying back your energy and time, is we feel like we have impactful work and consistent income, but your business kind of owns you, right? You're going, man, I'm pumped about my business. I like what I'm doing. The product is good. People need it. I'm proud of it. I feel like I'm making an impact. The income's, kind of consistent. It feels like we're growing and I'm going there, but man, this business owns me. I feel like I can't get away from it. It feels like my calendar keeps filling up. Every single time I create time blocks to work, my calendar fills up with other things. I'm doing a lot of things that are draining my energy right now. When will this ever end? Maybe when I get to the next revenue level, maybe when I get to $1 million a year, maybe when I get to $1 million a month, maybe then things will change. Well, this is what I call the hustle and grind mode. Okay, you're in the hustle and grind mode when you're in this spot. And the only way to get out of the hustle and grind mode is you go to the other side of the entrepreneur freedom formula, which is energy and time. And you say, okay, I need a little bit more of that in my life. And we're going to go through this, how you do this inside of the Entrepreneur Freedom Formula podcast, through my experiences, through my models, and bringing others on as well who have done the same thing. But you need to start to buy back your energy and time. When you do, you're going to slide back into that ideal business that gives you freedom and impact. Okay. The second set of symptoms here, and let me know if this is you, is you're making good money, right? You're like, dude, the business is working. I'm making good money. I've got ample time. I found a way to buy back my time. This is kind of working. I'm living that dream of I've got 10-hour work weeks or 20-hour work weeks or 30 or 5 or whatever your dream is. But you're going, man, things just kind of feel empty. Things feel empty inside. I lack purpose for what I'm doing. I thought that when I hit $1 million a year or 300,000 a year or 10 million a year, whatever that number is, I thought when I hit that the clouds were going to part, the angels were going to sing, and business was going to be amazing. But while your business is amazing, you just feel this emptiness inside. And what happens there usually is we get distracted, right? This is what happens at that 3-year turn and burn cycle. It has nothing to do with the business not making money at the 3-year turn and burn cycle. You've got to those spots where you maybe hit many of your revenue goals that you never thought you would hit, okay? It has everything to do with, do you have something to look towards now that you're pumped about? What is going to pull you forward? Right? The vision should drive every decision. Are you clear on an exciting vision? Are you clear in the purpose? Are you clear in your identity and who you want to become? And that identity should drag and pull that business forward. Okay? Your business should be built around your personal goals. Your personal goals should not be built around your business goals. That's one of the big mistakes I made back in 2010, 11, 12, is I built a business that I then had to wedge in and create and make my personal goals fit into that business in the time. And after 2012, when I created this across the street at that coffee shop, I said, what's the ideal way to build a business? Let me pull from people that I admire, pull from amazing people, pull from my own experiences. I recognized, like, man, I would much rather have insane purpose and clarity in where I'm going and who I'm becoming and the impact I'm making. If I had to trade off, I'd rather have more of that and less revenue than more revenue and no purpose. Okay. So that right there, guys, is what I call the lifestyle business. If you are making good money, man, you've got time, you bought back your time, you feel like you've got free time, but you're lacking purpose in your work, then it's a lifestyle business. I want to encourage you now to go up to the purpose side of things and add more purpose. And we'll show you guys how to do that in this podcast. Now, number 3 is you enjoy your work, but you're on an income roller coaster. Okay. You're going, dude, I'm excited about what I'm doing. I feel like I'm purposeful. I'm helping people. I'm confident about the product that I have. It's truly serving people. It's needed in the world. I've got some time. I don't feel like I'm out of energy. I feel like I'm doing a lot of things that are giving me time. Now, this right here is where most of us start in our businesses, right? So if you're brand new, if you're in that first year of starting your business, this might be where you are on the income roller coaster, right? That's pretty prototypical for someone in their first year or two of business, is you are running a passion project, okay? It's a passion project. You're on the income roller coaster. You love what you're doing. You're excited about the challenge of it. You don't feel like you're working too much on things that drain your energy. You just haven't figured out the revenue model around it yet. So that's where, if that's you, you need to focus on the consistent profits part. Do I have a clear strategy? Have I really built my strategy on what I call evergreen? You're going to learn a lot more about that in this podcast. And then the third part is, how do I add leverage to it? I might be adding an employee or a sales rep or a better process or automation or scaling through marketing. We're going to dig into all these things. Okay, guys, so I'm going to wrap this episode with this, and I'm going to be giving you a clear call to action here. Then I've got 2 more episodes right after this one that are going to dive into, in detail, the revenue levels from 100,000 to 300,000 to 300,000 to $1 million, $1 million to 3, 3 to 10, 10 to 30. We're going to dive into those in detail about the identity that you need to step into at each level to really transcend that and grow, about what we need to do to unlock revenue and consistent profits at each level, what we need to do to unlock purpose and impact at each level, what we need to do to unlock energy and time at each level. Because as we grow that business, as long as you're wanting to grow it, as you're growing that business, every time you hit one of those pain lines, then your business is going to break. Things are going to get hard. And I think the main question that we're going to be teasing out in the Entrepreneur Freedom Formula is not, do we give up? Okay, it's not a factor of giving up. I'm going to take that off the table for y'all. It's, what do we do to grow through those pain lines so we build our dream business, a business that truly fuels our life vision and not a life that fuels our business, right? What do we do when we hit those pain lines? And what is the path? What is the process? What is the inspiration that you can step into? So you look at those pain lines not as a challenge or an obstacle, but we look at those pain lines then as an opportunity for growth. Every single pain line I look at, if I know it's coming, I go, okay, I need to grow. This business needs me to grow. And business is the single best personal productivity, personal growth method that I know of in my life. And hitting those pain lines and growing through those is such a gift, but it's insanely hard, y'all. Okay. So we're going to be teasing that out in this podcast in a big, big way. So check out that graphic. We'll probably put the Entrepreneur Freedom Formula link below somewhere. I might link up to my website where there's more context, but this is going to be the basis of everything that we do here at the Entrepreneur Freedom Formula podcast. Okay. If you don't know anything about me, you'll learn more about me as the journey goes. But I'll give you a quick little synopsis. I've been an entrepreneur since 2004. I'm in my early 40s right now. I've never had an actual job, so I've kind of grown through it's a blessing and a curse, right? I've grown through that, having to learn everything from scratch, not having had an amazing boss that I had a chance to work with before to learn from. And so sometimes I've been a slow learner, sometimes I've been a fast learner, but you get to learn from my mistakes and my wins along the way. But in 2013, 14, we started a company called Carrot. It's a software company, and we're fortunate enough to hit the Inc. 5,500 list 5 years in a row, which less than 1% of companies ever do that. We've been fortunate to be the fastest growing software company in the state of Oregon 2 years in a row, and so many other accolades. Top 10 most philanthropic small businesses in the state of Oregon. That's part of the impact baked into what we do. And guys, I'm just insanely pumped about the journey that we get to go on, because whenever I got to record those Trevor Truck Talks in my truck on my cell phone for the last 5 years, that was a way that I could just kind of digest and brain dump and what I was going through as an entrepreneur, through the $1 million pain line, through the $3 million pain line, through the $10 million pain line and above. That's where I digest, and this podcast and this YouTube channel is now going to be where I digest those learnings. And I'm going to share with you exactly processes and methods out of my own businesses, out of the software companies that we own, out of the consulting business that I own, out of the real estate portfolio, from commercial properties here in downtown Roseburg, Oregon, to big multifamily across the nation too. So I'm just going to be sharing my journey with y'all, and hopefully you guys get good value from the program or from the podcast. And I'd encourage you right now, here's the main call to action. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, pull up your phone, go to YouTube and search me up, Trevor Mock. I have a YouTube channel. We'll also link it up in the show notes, and subscribe to my personal YouTube channel. That's where all this content's going to be, not on the Carrot channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, I encourage you to go click the link below and go subscribe to the podcast so you can catch this on the go. And follow me over. We're going to be creating a weekly newsletter, an occasional, maybe not weekly, but an occasional newsletter out of this as well, documenting some of these in detail over on my personal website. So go to trevormock.com, probably linked up here below somewhere, trevormock.com. And guys, I'm pumped to be on this journey with you. All right, check out the next 2 episodes, which dive in insanely deep to the levels. And I want you to pinpoint where you are in each level. And we're going to give you an action plan on how to grow through it. All right, guys, welcome to the first episode of Entrepreneur Freedom Formula. Let's step into this journey together to build businesses of freedom and impact that also be that beacon of positivity and possibility for others around you. All right, we'll talk soon.